back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, we saw that after the war had concluded, Yudhiṣṭhira was grieving immensely. After he had learnt the birth secret of his brother Radheya, his grief was unhinged. He performed the last rites of his elder brother Radheya as well, along with the rituals for his children and others. They were required to stay outside the city limits for the 1 month during this time. Sage Narada, Vedavyasa, Dhaumya, etc. were trying to give comforting words to Yudhiṣṭhira. Sage Vedavyasa had suggested that Yudhiṣṭhira should talk to his grandfather Bhishma about Dharma Shastras once he becomes king. An auspicious day was set for the coronation and anointing Yudhiṣṭhira as the new king. He was dressed in royal robes, jewels, and riches. He looked very different from his forest-dwelling days, where he was dressed in bark and had matted hair. He ascended a grand chariot which was driven by Bhima. Arjuna held a grand white umbrella over his head. Nakula and Sahadeva were standing on either sides, fanning him with big chamaras. Behind him, on one side, was Dhritarashtra's chariot, which was driven by Yuyutsu, his only surviving son. On the other side, Krishna and Satyaki were driven in a chariot by Daruka. The palanquins of the royal women were carried behind the chariots. Everyone else followed behind them. The whole procession looked spectacular. Everyone was very happy and eager to celebrate the coronation of their new king. The painful days of the recent war had soon been forgotten. As the elder of the family, Dhritarashtra was asked to enter the palace first. Yudhiṣṭhira and others followed him. Krishna held Yudhiṣṭhira's hand and led him to the throne of Hastinapura. He placed the crown on Yudhiṣṭhira's head, accompanied by many Vedic chants. Krishna almost sighed a sigh of relief. He had fulfilled his promise to the Pandavas. He had promised the Pandavas that he would see to it that Yudhiṣṭhira, the rightful king, would ascend the throne. Today it had become a reality. All the Pandava brothers were seated around him. Kunti sat with her favorite son Sahadeva. Satyaki and Krishna sat together. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari too presided in prominent seats. Yudhiṣṭhira appointed Bhima as the Yuvaraja, his successor. Arjuna was the commander-in-chief of their army as well as in charge of the foreign affairs, meaning relationships with other kingdoms. Nakula was in charge of the maintenance of the army. Sahadeva was in charge of personal security of the king Yudhiṣṭhira. Vidura was appointed as minister. Sanjaya was in charge of finances of the country. Dhaumya was the Kulaguru. Yuyutsu was commanding many provinces of the kingdom and was also to take care of the requirements of Dhritarashtra. More than anything, Yudhiṣṭhira bowed down to Dhritarashtra and spoke to the audience. He said, "My uncle is just like my father. I would be blessed if he continues to be the king just like always. I will dispose all the kingly duties in his name and my brothers will assist me." Krishna was very impressed with Yudhiṣṭhira's dynamic abilities and sincere humility. He had started his journey as a king on the right foot from the very get-go. So what are our takeaways from this story? Respecting elders is intrinsic to our culture. No matter how wrongful Dhritarashtra's actions were, the Pandavas never once disrespected him. They always sought his blessings and obeyed his words. Even after a dreadful war with his sons, Yudhiṣṭhira still asked Dhritarashtra to continue to be king and that he would rule the kingdom under his name. This was the magnanimity of Yudhiṣṭhira's character. In this story, we should also be reminded that nobody is irreplaceable. People forgot the sorrows of the recent war and things were coming back to normal. People were becoming cheerful again. No tragedy in this world is tremendous enough to stop life for the rest of the world. When such is the case, why do we have such big egos and think that we are the center of the universe? Living humbly not only makes our life easy, it makes our passing on easy as well. Another important thing we notice here is that Vedavyasa said Yudhiṣṭhira had to learn all the knowledge from Bhishma before he passes on. Knowledge is supreme. It is certainly greater than the person who possesses it. Knowledge has to outlive the person. The only way to keep knowledge alive is by passing it on. Otherwise, imagine if every generation had to start with reinventing fire, striking sticks and stones. It is not a virtue to hoard all the knowledge we have and be secretive about it. Many times, people do not share what they know just so that they can look smarter in front of others. God forbid if something were to happen to them, what a shame it would be to lose all the knowledge they had earned. No knowledge should ever stagnate or die with the person. Sharing knowledge means we are putting Ma Saraswati ahead of ourselves. How can I ever repay the debt I owe to my Guru? Obviously, I cannot teach the knowledge right back to him. The only way I can clear my runa for the Guru is by passing on the knowledge that I received from him to someone else. Knowledge should keep flowing from one person to another. In fact, this is how I can clear my Guru runa. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om!